welcome to a Gen Most 45 video where I cover different topics about fandoms and animes and all that fun jazz. So today's video I'm going to be discussing my experiences with discovering, watching, and appreciating the show The Dragon Prince, which is available on Netflix, hashtag not sponsored by any means. I'm just a fan that loves the show, wants to show the show a little bit more love and support, so I wanted to share my experiences on how I discovered the show. Then I'm also going to cover two graphic novels that kind of follow into the storyline, especially before season 5 comes out. So, really briefly, if you see me looking off to the side, I do have my notes. Okay, so The Dragon Prince was created by Aaron Efaz and Justin Richmond. Hopefully I didn't butcher your names too badly. The show premiered in September 2018. It consists of fantasy, adventure, action, and some comedic moments. It follows the story of Prince Ezran and Callum. They meet up with a moon shadow elf named Rayla, and they discover a dragon egg that has not been hatched and try to return it back to the land of Zadia, realizing that that is the Dragon Prince that has been long gone. So, and among that main story, there's several other little side stories going on. I've been trying to find out the information of like when I started watching it, because I remember I posted like an Instagram story about like the very first episode and whatnot, where I'm like, oh, like I'm really liking this, getting Ruby, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones type of vibe. I couldn't find it. I know I shared another post. This is what happens when you have too many Instagram accounts. It's like, don't remember where you shared it or when you shared it. It's like, it all just goes into one. So I would say I probably started watching right in like 2020. Like probably when the whole pandemic situation happened. I'm trying to look up new shows to watch. And then, you know how like when you first log into Netflix and there's like that big banner screen of like, you know, shows that might interest you, and it plays like a small clip of that show. I believe that's when I saw The Dragon Prince come up. It was like, I think around that time I was watching like She-Ra and something else. Can't remember. It's been so long. But yeah, I remember just like seeing that and I'm like watching it and I'm like, okay, like art style's okay, like, you know, and stuff like that. So I decided just to give it a try. I'm one of those people that like, whenever I see something new, I'm like, alright, I'll just sit through the first episode. If it captures my interest, you know, I'll continue on. And if not, then, you know, either like put a pin in it for a while or just drop it. Apparently I did not drop it because we're talking about it today. So yeah, I would say by 2020, because I think around like July 2020, like almost 3 years ago or something, they shared like, oh, the saga's going to continue, and then we had to wait a while for season 4 and all that, so, which I binged in one day, and I'm probably going to do the same for season 5 here soon. So yeah, good times, good times. But yes, I do appreciate the show. I love the story writing, the themes in there. I definitely appreciate the art style more. Going back and watching season 1, it's kind of a little iffy, but then, you know, like later seasons, it's really, really nice to see like all the different like little subtle changes that they've made. The art team does a fantastic job, and the music. If I'm into a show, there's like 3 things that really bring me in: a good story, decent art, character design, backgrounds, even like little things like shadows and all that stuff, and then music, which there's a lot of good soundtracks. And pretty much all the seasons. There's not just like one season where I'm like, ooh, this soundtrack's this. It's like all of them. So, but Silver Grove is definitely my favorite track out of all of them. So yeah, that's where I'm at today. Just a big fan, big fan. So that wraps up that little intro. I know it's pretty brief and whatnot, but that's why I was like, alright, like I'm just gonna do like a little intro and then go through the 2 books, which again, not sponsored, just a big fan of the show and whatnot. Kind of wanted to give a little book review because that's kind of what I do over here and whatnot. I kind of review different books and stuff. So we have very first one. Oh, it's backwards. That's okay. So this is a graphic novel titled Through the Moon. It's written by Peter Wortman. Wortman, and illustrator is Saneth Booma. Sorry again if I mispronounced names. So this graphic novel was released October 6, 2020. It's considered canon. The events in the graphic novel take place shortly after the battle at the Stormspire, so right after the 3rd season. Let's see. And then it starts right before book 4, so it's like, you have end of season 3, everything in here, and then season 4 starts a couple years later. So, and I will be saying spoilers ahead. If you're not caught up on this show or the series, what are you doing here? Okay. And also for the book as well. So, here we go. I'm not going to be showing this, I'm just going to be talking about the story and then giving my final thoughts and review towards the end. Alrighty, so the dream starts. So the story starts with Rayla, and she's dreaming, so I know she's sleeping somewhere, we're not sure where. Get that here in a minute. She's seeing figures of Runan, somebody that taught her the ways of being an assassin and raised her along with his husband, Thari. And she also sees her parents and then Callum, and they're all trapped in like blocks of ice. She then sees Lord Viren. She just put Viren because we don't like him. I like every single character in the show except for who talks to her about being next. However, before Rayla can fight him, she is awakened by Callum tickling her nose with Fifi's feather. So Fifi was a moon phoenix that helped them throughout their travels and whatnot. So Rayla wakes up and we find out that we're in the kingdom of Katalis, which is King Ezrin and Callum's home. So the three of them, along with Soren, travel to, I think it's Lejane. I should have looked up how to say her name. I don't know. Lejane to restore Fifi, a moon phoenix who helped the adventures in a previous season. So they're talking about how they're going to go travel to see her. And throughout that, we see, I love this little part of Ezrin being like, oh, we'll be fine. Like, Ophelia's going to take care of everything. And then you just see her in the next panel just like, it's like mood, girlfriend, mood. Such a mood. So yeah, I love that panel. And I love the panel of Rayla smiling up at Callum when he, offers to think of, like, this adventure is like a vacation, and boy, could we use one and all this stuff. Like, she looks pretty happy in that panel. And I was like, anything for you, Rayla, anything. I decide to not think or talk about what transpired at the Stormspire. I worked really hard on that. I gotta get some appreciation in the comments. So the group travel and they arrive at Lejane's place, which, when they get there, there's a new figure there, which Callum and Rayla are surprised to see Alan, who's in a previous episode as the guy with the sword chopped in half with the Sunfire elf blade and ran off crying. It is revealed that Lejane and Alan are a couple. Ezrin presents the feather, and Lejane says they will be able to revive Fifi. She offers them all a meal, but the group stutters, saying they brought their own food. If you know, you know. Over dinner, Lejane notices that Rayla and Callum are a couple. Ooh la la. I'm totally not a Rayla shipper. Absolutely not. The three of them talk about the changes that have been made throughout the world, with Rayla bringing up Viren, how she does not think he is dead. But then Callum steps in and shows off that he knows Sky Arcanian magic. Humans are not able to do magic. They used to, but it got taken away. This story sounds familiar. Ruby Volume 6 and stuff. So Lejane's kind of like, we've been through this before. Humans can't do magic. But he manages to cast a spell, which then blows most of the food and the feather away from the table. While the others laugh at his antics, Rayla appears concerned, and I was like, oh no. That happy panel moment, just gone. See, I fake coughed, and now it's messing me up. As the sun begins to set, the group heads over to a lake, and Lejane encourages Ezrin to put the feather into the water. He does so, and Lejane chants as they all join hands. Lejane talks about death and life and how it binds us all together and is like a cycle. I also noticed one panel where Callum's like squeezing Rayla's hand. Oh my god, so cute. As the moon appears, the feather transforms to an egg and floats over to the group. Callum makes a joke saying that he hopes they don't have to go on a big quest to hatch the egg, ha. But Lujane looks over at him and cracks the egg on the ground. She presents the contents of the eggs to Ezran, and a small version of Fifi appears. Ezran welcomes Fifi back. Fifi's so darn cute in that picture. As the group heads back, Rayla dashes off and Callum follows her. The two talk about the ceremony, and Rayla talks about how she wants to see her parents again. She explains the Nexus used to be a portal to life and death. Callum tries to understand, but she says he doesn't understand. They're always having quarrels. And that he knows what happened to his loved ones. Rayla says that neither of them have moved on, and the world has not moved on, and leaves. Callum tries to call after her. Again, Rayla has a dream of Callum trapped in ice and Viren appearing. Rayla wakes up and notices Callum is okay. She gets up before Callum, who wakes up shortly and decides to go to talk to someone for advice. And guess who it could be? Leger! Yay! Another familiar scene. He was once again trying to meditate. Callum says he and Rayla had a fight, and Lujane normalizes this, like, all couples fight. It's just those two fight a lot more often than not. She tells Callum this quote, which is super duper important. White lies are illusions you build with your words to protect the hearts of those you love. She gives him moon opals. He decides to use them to open a portal, which Lujane cautions it could be dangerous, and that that one could be trapped or lose their mind in the Nexus pool. She states the moon hedge is broken, which is needed. Okay, she states that the moon hedge is broken, and when Callum suggests that they rebuild it, she stops them, saying it's too dangerous. Alright, so during this time, the story cuts to Alan and Soren practicing sword fighting with wooden swords, with Ezran and Bate cheering them on. Rayla drops in from a tree and defeats Alan, but Soren neatly trips her and she falls into mud, once again. Rayla says she needs to talk to Soren. Meanwhile, Callum is standing in the old moon hedge and finds out through shadows how to activate the Nexus. Soren and Rayla have a talk about Runan, who had a part in raising Rayla and was on the mission that kind of started this whole series, if you think about it. They also talk about Viren, and if he was really dead, made me realize, did anyone really check in with Soren after the fight? Or how did he feel like after defeating his father, the father illusion and stuff? Like, did anybody check in on him? Poor boy. Alright, let's see. As night falls once again, Rayla goes back to the room where Callum is at, and they each talk about their dates. Rayla about finding out about Runan, and sparring with Soren and Alan. Callum talks about the portal, and Rayla says they should do it. Even though Callum expresses concerns on his behalf and Lujane's, even using the white lies quote, again that's why it's so important, that Lujane told him, Rayla decides to go through the portal alone. Callum agrees with her, but on one condition. If she starts to get in trouble, he's going in after her to rescue her. Callum says he hopes Rayla finds out about her parents and Runan. He then asks how good friends is she with Alan. Alrighty, so the next day, Rayla and Callum go over to Alan's workshop, and Callum asks for help to build the moon hedge. They trick him a bit, letting him believe that is a surprise for Lujane, even though he's like, she's kind of one of those all surprises, like, why are we building this? And they're like, just think of it as a surprise for her. With some pre-planning and convincing, they all decide to not necessarily hide the project, and they all set out to work. Lujane sees this going on later, and when she questions it, they all tell her it's going to be a surprise. So it's kind of like mysteries of Callum and Rayla doing something they know they should not be doing, and have been told multiple times not to do it. Many moons pass. I definitely love the illustrations that show like the passing of the moons, like all the different nights and whatnot. And finally, on the night of a full moon, the structure is complete. And Callum is able to activate the moon hedge. However, the structure fails, and Lujane finally notices and understands what is exactly going on. Let's see. So Rayla runs over and jumps into the pool just as Lujane joins Callum, demanding, kind of asking, like, what is going on? Rayla appears floating on the surface, eyes closed. However, she appears. So Callum and Lujane staring at Rayla's body, who's floating on the pool side, but on the flip side of that, Rayla awakens and manages to swim to shore, stating how much she doesn't like water. She's gonna be in for a trip when we get to the ocean part. Oh no. So she appears on the other side of the nexus. She walks around the area, calling out for her loved ones. A storm begins and 4 shadows appear. It's almost the same appearance as the night of the attack on the kingdom. On the surface, Callum is concerned, and Lujane scolds him for doing such a thing, reminding him again of how dangerous it is. She says Rayla has until sunrise to come back or else the portal closes and she is lost forever. That's pretty dark. Meanwhile, Rayla is fighting against the shadow of elf assassins who call her a traitor, a liar, and how the mission failed because of her. However, during that time, they notice that her binding is gone, so she had like wrist bindings and whatnot. They notice it's gone, and they say, oh, well, the mission's done. She denies she killed anyone, saying this all wouldn't happen if he did not start everything. And by he, she calls out to Viren, and the scenery changes to a large cocoon with Viren inside of it, alive. She begins to struggle in the water as hands try to pull her down. Callum decides to go down, and Ezran asks Fifi for one of her feathers, saying how it is tethered magically to life and death. Callum holds onto the feather tight and plunges into the water to Rayla. He spies Rayla and reaches out to her. However, a hand grabs his shoulder, and he lets go of the feather in surprise. The two of them arrive on dry land again. Even though Rayla begins to chastise Callum for coming, he tells her to get the feather, and together he manages to use Fulminous, which is a lightning spell, and Rayla jumps up, especially with help of Callum using Aspera, which is an air spell. Rayla successfully grabs the feather, and Callum uses Fulminous once more, both of them grabbing hands and swimming back up to safety. After being pulled onto familiar land by their friends and family, Callum hugs Rayla, saying he couldn't lose her. And start crying. The two share a kiss, and everyone seems to be happy. Later on, Callum asks, how did it go on the other side? And Rayla says she did not see Runan or her parents, but that she saw Viren and how he was still alive. Callum believes Rayla and says they would go look for him together. The two exchange I love yous and head to bed for the night. However, as night falls and Callum sleeps in his bunk, Rayla starts to take her leave. Leaving a letter and Fifi's feather next to him, she quotes the White Lies line to him before kissing his head and leaving. And that's pretty much where the graphic novel ends. However, the official Dragon Prince website will post like kind of short stories. I think they title them Reflections, and one of those reflections was Rayla's letter contents to Callum, which I wrote it down. Right. Yeah, it's called Dear Callum. So you can check that out on their website as well. So, and we learned that the day that Rayla left and whatnot to start her search for Viren was Callum's 15th birthday. Something that was released in Book 4, Chapter 1, which was the Rebirth Day. So, I'm going to say series. It's so confusing. This is a book, but they title the books. It's kind of like Ruby with like the volumes and the chapters. Name the book and the chapters. So, that's why I like it. But yes, we're going to talk about Dragon Prince. I already did Ruby earlier today, so we have Dragon Prince. Yay! So, thoughts on the book. I really enjoyed it. I loved the different art styles, like the blues and the purples. Like it was really, really nice and just visually appealing to look at. I like how there's one part where like Ezran kind of breaks the fourth wall and stuff. I like that little panel. Let's see. So, and there's like some of the white light also too to help illuminate. The story was good. And it kind of helped see more of Rayla's unrest of like wanting to find Viren's whereabouts and just confirm the fact that he's gone, that he's not going to hurt anybody or anything ever again. So you can just kind of like tell like she's like kind of antsy, like I need to know for a fact, and not only that, but like seeing her parents and Runan again, making sure that they're okay. So that wraps up the book, Through the Moon. Do let me know your thoughts down below. And I'm going to take a quick little break, and then we'll get into the next book. Alrighty, so we're back. I don't know if I had some kind of commercial break playing or fancy slide, but we are back, hydrated and ready to discuss the next book, which is called The Bloodmoon Huntress. My bad. I'm always used to books starting with like the. Yes, we have Bloodmoon Huntress. There we go. Almost kind of matching here. So again, this is a graphic novel that was released on July 19th, 2022, so almost a year ago. Pretty cool. The events are considered canon in the book, where the events take place right when Rayla's parents, who are the Dragon Guard, they go to guard Zubea and her egg, which we later learn is the Dragon Prince, aka Zim. And well, this is baby Rayla time. Little Rayla. The story was written by Nicole Andelfinger, and the illustrator was Philia Hanakata. Again, I'm sorry about names. I'm not very good at it. So again, spoilers up ahead, and we're just going to review and reflect on this graphic novel. So let's start with the story. Alright, so the story begins with Rayla's parents, Lane and... I can never say his name. Tidrin? Something like that. Rayla's parents are saying goodbye to Athari and Runan, who are friends of theirs. The two turn to see their daughter, Rayla, who is not happy to see her parents leave. Rayla asks why they both have to go, and they say it is because that they are stronger together and that they need to protect the Dragon Queen and her unhatched egg. Rayla insists she should come, but her parents disagree, saying she needs to grow up. Did I say Shadow Grove earlier? I think I did. I think it's Silver Grove. Brain. But her parents do promise that they'll be back as soon as they can. So after the parents leave, Athari says that they have their own little surprise back at home. So Athari and Runan present Rayla a small party welcoming her with treats and 2 new animals, which we see later on. So Runan tries to say that they welcomed her to their home, but Rayla states she has a family and she is going to her room. Runan comforts Athari, saying that she will adjust in time. So Rayla's kind of being a little bit stubborn, a little bit upset that her parents left without her and stuff, so it just takes a little bit of time. The next day, Athari makes breakfast, and when Rayla puts in a special order, he starts to panic, but Rayla says that it's fine, that she eats mesh cup like everyone else. Rayla then notices Runan's injuries and inquires about them. However, Runan gets annoyed and leaves, saying goodnight, when Rayla says it is just morning. Athari says not to worry about him, that he gets grumpy after a long night, and that he wanted to show Rayla his workplace, Athari's workplace, or workshop. Athari shows off his wares and talks about the harvest moon and the festivities that are coming up. Rayla knows the festival is a ploy to keep everyone together, and Athari says that the harvest moon goes by another name, the blood moon. Rayla is excited to hear about this, and about the tale of the Blood Huntress, who is essentially a vampire, sucking blood from victims, and disappearing and reappearing at certain times from like miles around. Athari says it's an old tale, and says that the line between reality and illusion world meets on the night of a blood moon, and that's potentially dangerous. Rayla says that Runan is allowed out on his own, and Athari evades her questions by suggesting that it's almost lunchtime, and she's like, but we just had breakfast. I love a good parallel. At nighttime, Rayla arrives home, and Runan and her exchange a conversation. Rayla surprises Athari, So, like, once Rayla goes back inside, she's, like, sneaks up on Athari, kind of similar to how, like, Callum sneaked up on Jane when she was meditating in the previous book. So, again, parallels. I love them. Rayla tries to guess Renan's profession. She goes from a guard, a performer, to a chef. I need Renan fan art of him with an apron and a chef hat. Like, that would be amazing. With like his little nose. Oh gosh. Thari promises to tell her when she is older. He gives her a small metal animal with some magic and knights it to a pretty pink, yellow, and blue color. When Rayla's in trouble, it will light up for them to find her. I thought that was really sweet. He's such a thinker. I think they call him the Tinker, and he's like the Thinker Tinker. He's just like so thoughtful and so nice. After dinner one night, Rayla sneaks out to follow Renan. She sees him training with others as he talks about balance and how to shift into the moon shadow form. So that's a form where I believe it's only on the night of a full moon. Like they can go like kind of invisible-ish sort of thing and like not be seen. When Renan comforts the trainee about how she is not able to reach this state, he lets it slip that they are assassins, and Rayla happily exclaims she now knows what Renan is and does, which gives away her hiding position, and Renan fires an arrow in her direction. She then falls out of her tree hiding spot. Renan is surprised to see her, and even though she is asking what an assassin does, he commands her to go home. At the house, Athari is surprised that Renan fired an arrow at her, but Renan is more worried about how Rayla found out what he does. He finally explained what he does, and Rayla does not think that it sounds appealing. Renan says he does it to protect others, and that she is too young to understand. Rayla is annoyed that everyone keeps saying that, and says that she can do the same without leaving anyone behind or killing anyone. The two leave the conversation off, and poor Athari is left bewildered with what to do next. There's a lot that went on there, but basically they're fighting, like, you don't understand, but don't tell me that I don't understand, like, I'll figure it out one day, you don't know the things that I've done, and poor Athari's just like, I don't know what the equivalent in Zadia is to Tylenol, but whatever it is, Athari needs that, so probably a massage and a vacation. Poor guy. Alright. On another night, they are out shopping for supplies, and Renan and Rayla test Athari's patience. I don't think that's wise. Saying they could have like both meals, which is essentially like you can have both things, and that Rayla is going with Renan so Athari can work on preparations for the harvest moon. Before Rayla and Renan can protest, Athari shoots them a look, and they both agree with the plan. It really tests that part of its patience, oh god. Rayla joins Renan, but is instructed to just watch. The girl elf from before spars with Renan, and Renan defeats her. The elf girl, I should have written down her name. I know she has a name, they all have names, and they were in the series, like the first couple episodes, but I can't remember what it is. She then takes a break to talk to Rayla and encourages to watch Renan fight. The girl lets Rayla know that someone's existence in the world could be a threat to life and love, which is where an assassin's job comes in. Rayla decides to take a couple of practice swings and slips off the rock, falling into some itching ferns. Kind of similar to poison ivy, or poison oak. Oof. Both are neither pleasant. Later on, Renan and Athari talk, and Renan wonders if he should not have chosen to be an assassin to go down that route. Athari comforts him, saying that Renan's hands will always hold Athari's heart. I love that. In the morning, Rayla questions Athari and what he thinks of Renan's job. Athari is unbothered by it, saying he has other things to do closer to home. He talks about his own thoughts and feelings when Renan leaves, and how feats of strength and caring can be shown in other ways. He tells Rayla to enjoy the day before the bonfire, aka the festivities. Rayla is spending time talking about her thoughts with the yellow Adorabur, which are magical creatures. I don't know if they're magic. They're adorable. Well, adorable, but like think of like burrs from like a burr branch, and they're kind of like little soft looking creatures and stuff. They're in season 3, I believe, is when she introduces them to Callum, and Callum becomes like an Adorabur man walking around. Oh, they're so cute. They're so cute. So she's talking about her thoughts and feelings. When she hears a rustle, thinking it was Renan, she creeps up on the bushes and sees a rabbit with antlers. I'm like, instantly I was like, don't you dare write down Jackalope, because of the Ruby Volume 9. But yeah, it's like a little tiny thing. Like if you bird with a baby. That's what it is. I don't know why I'm making the baby voice. Anyway, But then, out of nowhere, a young Skywing elf emerges and scares Rayla. He cries out for her to not eat her, which she's confused by, but then she notices there's some red stains around her mouth from her eating razzleberries. She offers him some, and he introduces himself as Suro. He explains he and his family were passing through, and then she appeared. Rayla asks who is she, and Suro explains how a moon shadow elf who appeared and disappeared despite no full moon last night. Sus. And how he and his family were captured. Rayla notices this sounded like a familiar place and inquires how he escaped, which he established by cracking his bones at a place. That is, I'm with Rayla on that. That's really freaky and gross. Suro begs Rayla for her to help him, and she says she knows someone who can help. She starts to dance, which opens the door in season 3. I don't know why I have 2. It's season 3. So back in, I think it was Silver Grove. Yeah, Silver Grove. Rayla approaches Athari and Runan, and she explains how she found Suro. They go to the same spot, but Suro is no longer there. The bonfire is about to start, and the two dismiss her story, saying it was all made-believe stories, that the Bloodmoon Huntress isn't real, it's nothing like that. So Rayla tries to talk to the guards, but they also do not believe her, encouraging her to go to the bonfire. She tries to sneak past them, but they get her each time. Rayla hides out by an empty booth and attempts to unlock her moon shadow form, which she is successful at. Concealed, she leaves the area in search of Suro. So outside the bonfire, Rayla finally finds Suro at the place, and not only that, they see the Bloodmoon Huntress. But unfortunately, Suro cries out when she threatens to take a family member's life, and they see her disappear. The two rush inside to free the others. Rayla notices a vial on the old altar and takes it. Right at that moment, the Bloodmoon Huntress reappears behind her, and the two fight over the vial. Rayla leads, but the Bloodmoon Huntress catches up, grabbing Rayla roughly by the neck. Rayla throws the vial into the air, which the Blood Huntress goes after, causing Rayla to fall into a river, but not before she unlocks her moon shadow form. Rayla manages to grab and use the mouse beacon of distress that Athari created. I don't know what it's really called. But it's that little creature, and it starts to glow. And over back at the festival, Athari notices that it's glowing and realizes that Rayla's in trouble. Athari and Runan set off to find her, and they hear a screech of the Bloodmoon Huntress. Yeah. I have BH written down, so that's why I keep looking at my B. And they realize that the tales are true. Meanwhile, the Bloodmoon Huntress does not see Rayla in the water and leaves. Rayla gets her mouse beacon, holds onto it, but ends up sinking further into the water. However, a hand reaches out for her. Runan saves her from the river, and Athari covers her with a scarf. Runan gives her a hug and relief, and this surprises Rayla, who thought it was Athari. Together, the three of them set out to the Blood Huntress and help the family. The Blood Huntress drinks blood from the vial, saying that Suro was too late to save his family. If she attempts to unlock a magic spell, Runan calls her Chemdale? Something like that. The Bloodmoon Huntress tempts Runan to give her his blood in exchange for the prisoners. Rayla is a bit confused on why Runan is hesitating when Athari pulls out a bow and manages to distract the Bloodmoon Huntress for Runan to get an attack. The two battle. She uses blood dagger and claws, mostly from a gem that glows from her glove. So she's using daggers and claws. It kind of reminded me of, off topic, but Beyond the Boundary, when the one girl with the short pink hair and the big glasses, has the cut on her hand, she can form weapons and stuff with the blood. That's what it kind of reminded me of, seeing that. Totally off topic. Anyway, back to the fight. She stops his attack and says he is not as much of a challenge as she thought, to which he says that was not the point. Oh boy, what's going to happen now? She turns around to see the prisoners escaping with the help of Athari and Rayla. Angry, she attacks more and manages to cut Runan on the side. Rayla notices more empty vials on the altar and says that there were so many. With the final move, Athari shoots an arrow, which Runan catches, and when the Bloodmoon Huntress goes to attack Athari, Runan shoots the arrow and hits the Bloodmoon Huntress in the arm, stopping her. The Bloodmoon Huntress issues a warning of how she will not go easy on them the next time she meets and leaves. Renan and Athari go to check on Rayla, and at that point she tells Zoro that that's her family, when Zoro's like, oh my gosh, like, who are they? They're so cool. She's like, that's my family. That's my family. Renan explains how the Bloodmoon Huntress was a legend that was only an assassin's history, that her source was gone, and will leave her weak until the next blood moon. So they got a year. Together, all three of them tip over the altar. Let's see. So then the next day, kind of like that same morning-ish time period, Renan approaches Rayla outside the home. Rayla says she understands what being an assassin is about and asks Renan to train her. He agrees to this. Athari asks if Rayla forgives them about not accepting her stories about the Bloodmoon Huntress and Zoro, and she forgives him, giving him his scarf. Together, the three of them realize they all needed a chance, and how perfect it all sounded. And that pretty much wraps up the book and whatnot. All of that condensed in a couple of days or weeks. It's crazy. So while I was doing a little bit of research about the book and whatnot, especially like when I found out like the name like Kindle or something, I was like, what's that about? In the Dragon Prince wiki page with the Bloodmoon Huntress, there is a short story, so similar to what we talked about the first book. There's a reflection about the Bloodmoon Huntress, where, you know, several years before the events here. I'm just going to give like a quick synopsis. It's pretty quick and easy read, but quick synopsis: years prior, I assume, Bloodmoon Huntress strolls through Luxaria, which is the Sun Kingdom, and pleads for an audience with the Queen. The Bloodmoon Huntresses request sanctuary, even though the Queen is aware of Blood Huntress's crimes. Together they go to the Sun Forge. The Queen forges a gift, which is a golden collar, that then has the Blood Huntress at the Queen's mercy and servitude, where if the Bloodmoon Huntress is killed... Bloodmoon Huntress? I hope there's no Huntresses. Eep. Scary. Where if the Bloodmoon Huntress killed the Queen, it would kill the Bloodmoon Huntress as well. So I'm like, ooh. I know bueno. No bueno at all. Okay, so there's quite a bit of information there, but really quickly, thoughts on the graphic novel. I felt like it was a little bit slow to start. It was kind of like back and forth, like, you don't understand, you're too young, nobody's telling me anything, too many secrets. It's very Ruby-like, very, very Ruby-like, and stuff like that. But it started picking up like right when the festival started, and then like Rayla going off on her own and all this stuff. So we only see the Bloodmoon Huntress really like towards the end of the graphic novel. So it's not very long, but I mean, it's all good stuff, but it's not very long that we get her story and all that. So, I feel like Rayla's parents are like really good parents. They hear Rayla out, they listen to her concerns, they try to explain, and they don't really keep secrets. They're not like, oh, we're going away, like summer secret. Like, Rayla knows where they're going and what they're doing, so I thought that was really good that they do that. Okay, so, and then the whole reason why I got the graphic novel was, you know, season 5 is coming up here soon, and when watching the trailer, like, I think it's towards the end of the trailer. We have a habit of coming towards the end. We'll see about that in season 5. But, you know, there is, like, this, like, red, shadowy figure attacking people, elves, and stuff, and all that, and it was just like, who is that? And then upon further investigation, learning, like, oh, like, the Bloodmoon Huntress, like, her and Rayla had beef and all this stuff, and it's like, I need to do some research beforehand, so didn't want to go into it blindly. So I definitely think we're gonna see the Bloodmoon Huntress. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm excited for it now, but we'll definitely see her. So that's kind of like why I got the books. I kind of wanted to do a little bit more digging, a little bit more research. I feel like I'm getting more and more into this fandom, so I was like, I'll go and get the graphic novels and stuff. So I'm definitely curious about who she is and how she's gonna help the story and all that. And Romida, I think is her name. The girl elf that was talking to Rayla about the balance of life and death. I think that's gonna come into play with season 5. Like, you know, like, you need balance and, you know, going after loved ones and stuff. And we saw, like, in the other book, like, you know, Callum's life being threatened, being in the ice and stuff, and Rayla trying to protect and all that. So I wonder if like Rayla's like thought about that like most of her life, and then meeting Callum, wanting to protect him, and then now she wants to like kill Erebos, which is very, very strange. I'll eventually do like a review on all the seasons. I kind of want to wait until it's all wrapped up and stuff, but I just think it's weird how she goes from not wanting to kill, she gets called out for it in season 4, but now in the trailer she's like, oh, well, we're gonna defeat him now, and it's just like, I believe in full circles and all that, but I need to see your logic behind it all. So I'm wondering if like this line is the logic behind it, or at least starting to. I guess we'll know more in season 5, but this is all speculation, theories. Welcome to the Dragon Prince series. We had Ruby, now we have Dragon Prince. There'll always be Ruby. Oh, and one more thing about this too. I kind of hope we see Suro again. I feel like, you know, there's always like these cute little side characters that get created, like the girl from book 1, I believe, and like the wolf and stuff. Like, I love her character so much. Whenever I go back and see her, I was like, oh, so cute and stuff. So I'm hoping we get to see Suro again, maybe all grown up. So, and yep, that's about it for the books or novels, graphic novels and stuff. So yay, we're done. Woo. All right, but so there is another book coming out, I believe, in a couple weeks. It's The Puzzle Houses. It has Little Soren and Little Claudia. Pretty soon we're gonna need Little Ezra and Little Callum. Oh, baby Greg. Yes. Yes, yes. 1,000 times yes. So yeah, I'll definitely get that. I'll probably do another book review on that. And then hopefully season 5 we get good story, good art. It's looking good so far. I'm hyped for it. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Ready to bawl my eyes out. Let's do this. So, but yeah. So we'll do reviews and reflections either here or on Demon. And that wraps up the Dragon Prince video. So yay, thank you for sticking with me. Appreciate it. I know it's pretty long and lengthy, but there's a lot of good stuff to cover. So definitely be sure to check out the books. Make sure you check out the series. It's very, very well done. Do let me know your thoughts down below. What did you think about the books? Which one was your favorite? Do you have favorite characters? Favorite moments in the Dragon Prince? Do you want to check it out and stuff? Alex says go check it out. And all that. So, but until then, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe, leave a like, appreciate it. And until then, peace, love, and kindness. Bye everyone!